students, we're going to do polynomial long division now. Let's go ahead and take a look at an example. 6x to the fourth minus 23x to the third plus 8x minus 12 all over 2x minus 3. Again, first thing you should always ask yourself, what is this problem asking me to do? Even if you don't have the title of the subject. Because you guys are really good at just doing math, doing math. But remember, a huge part of math is taking a step back and figuring out when to apply what tool. So go ahead and I look. And I notice it's a fraction. There's a polynomial. And it's dividing. So what I would tell myself is I'm trying to find factors, and I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible. Here's the thing, because I don't actually know how to factor x to the fourth easily, the box, I'm going to go ahead and use our division tool. So now remember, the box is always as tall as the denominator. You know what? I'm really sorry, guys. I want to add plus 21x squared to the numerator. Sorry about that. Yep, Ms. Troy makes typos even in her videos. Okay, so now you have 6x to the fourth minus 23x to the third plus 21x squared plus 8x minus 12 all over 2x minus 3. Okay, now some of you guys have said, well, I really still don't know how to make the box. So for those of you who say that, just go ahead and draw a line. You don't need to figure the box out right away. It's just a tool. You don't need to know how many you need. Those of you who found a pattern, it is you need the number of boxes for the number of exponents you have. So your biggest term, what is the biggest exponent? That is the number of boxes you'll need. So we will need 4. Okay? Right. As always, you go ahead and you put your first term to the furthest left corner. Then you ask yourself, what do you need to multiply 2x by to get 6x to the fourth? You go ahead and multiply by 3x third, because 2x times 3x to the third is 6x to the fourth. And remember, 2 times 3, 6. Look at them separately. X times x times x times x, 4x's, x to the fourth. Okay? So since we know what goes on top, or as always, we go ahead and we multiply on the outside to get to the inside. So 3x cubed times negative 3. Look at the numbers first. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Look at then the letters next. X to the third times, well, there's nothing else, so x to the third. So now we have negative 9x to the third. How many total do we need? We need negative 23x to the third. So the key here is you always go ahead and you look at your, or combining like terms, you can go ahead and look at the variable and the exponent, and that's what this looks the same. Negative 9 of them, right? We have negative 9 of them. Now when we add this box up, it's always going to add up to be the numerator. So what would we need to add so that when negative 9x to the third plus this new mystery number will give us negative 23x to the third? Well, after some thought, you know that negative 14x to the third is what you need to add. It's negative 9 plus negative 14 is negative 23. So again, we have our little mystery number. Then we can go ahead and figure out what goes on top because it's multiplication. So 7x squared, because negative 7x squared, because negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. X times x times x is x to the third. Again, we have our outside, so we can go ahead and put in our inside. 21x to the third, because negative 7 times negative 3 is 21. X squared times nothing squared. So 21x squared. Sorry, guys. Okay. Now, how many x squares do you need? Remember, we go ahead and we look at the variable and the exponents to see what we're looking at. We have 21. We need 21. So do we need any more? We do not need any more, which means we don't need to add anything in here because we already have enough. So we need to go ahead and move on to the next term. Okay? So don't get confused here, because I know usually it's like, oh, we need 2 boxes. We need to add. But if you already have enough, then you don't need anything else. Then you just go ahead and you move on to 8x. Because that's the next one. Because we add up this box so far, we would get 6x to the 4th minus 23x cubed plus 21x squared. So there's nothing else we need to add, so we just go ahead and move along. So then we have 8x. What multiplies into that? Well, 4, because 2x times 4 is 8x. Then 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Let's go ahead and take a look. Negative 12 plus what gives us negative 12? We don't need to add anything because it's perfect. So this one has no remainder. This one has no remainder because the first and the last term are the same as the first and the last term of the numerator, right? And look, here's the thing. Because we already had perfect amount 21x squared, that's why this box is only 3 instead of 3 rows instead of 4. But again, don't worry about the number of boxes. If you have extra or you have, too little, then you can just add them on. So don't worry about that. The important thing is that you know how to use it to factor, which is polynomial long division, right? So let's rewrite this now. We know that this polynomial times this polynomial gives us this long polynomial on top. Let's go ahead and write that. 2x minus 3 times 3x to the 3rd minus 7x squared plus 4 is equal to this numerator. And what are we dividing by? We're dividing by 2x minus 3. Again, I want to make sure that you guys see that. Remember, this times this equals this. So I'm just rewriting it. Instead of writing this long polynomial, I'm writing this multiplier. 2x minus 3 times 3x third minus 7x squared plus 4 all over 2x minus 3. So then, we're going ahead and we're going to ask ourselves, can we make a 1? We can. 2x minus 3 divided by 2x minus 3. You can cancel those out. And so our final answer becomes 3x to the 3rd minus 7x squared, if that even looks like a 7, plus 4, which is actually the same as the top of the box. So that's another way to remember. The top of the box is the same as the answer. Alright, and there we go.